Hi, you are watching SightsIn Plus, and this is Romesh Srivastava. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, thought leaders, and business sites. Today, we are going to discuss bench policy in IT industry and new TCS bench policy. Joining us, renowned HR thought leader, Ms. Usha Chirayil. She is Senior Director Human Resources at Reflections Info System. Welcome, Usha, to SightsIn Plus.
Hello, Romesh, glad to be here.
So, Usha, recently the TCS also announced its new bench policy. And if I can share some important pointers of this new bench policy. So, the employees need to be billed for at least 225 business days in a year now. And the limiting bench time is just 35 days annually. Employees need to engage with the resource management group for the project allocation. And daily 4 to 6 hours upskilling is mandatory in the bench time now. If you look at the impact, if you don't get the project within this 35 days, so this could also impact on a compensation. It can impact on a salary hike. This could lead to disciplinary action as well. And there could be also some impact on career progression opportunities. It can also impact on overseas deployment chances. It can also lead to termination in some of the cases. But before we discuss about the TCS new bench policy, very first I would like to know that what is the bench policy? What is the purpose of bench policies with IT companies? And in general, what is bench policy with IT companies?
As you know, in IT, the main resource is actually the human talent. And most IT companies, especially IT services company, will have some policy around how long you can be on bench. On bench implies that you're not being utilized for that duration. Sometimes it's because a person is reserved for an upcoming large project. But very often it can also imply the person doesn't have the required skills, or there has been a history of some performance management which makes the person not so acceptable to be adopted into a new upcoming project. So while per se it might just read as a bench policy, it is also linked to how employable is the person to be deployed into new upcoming skills. So in IT industry, every 6 months, people have to be upskilled and be relevant for the upcoming projects. So if people have been there for a long duration, maybe a couple of years, where they earlier picked up new skills but got plateaued and could no longer be redeployed into upcoming projects which require new skills, then it could be a symptom that the person remains unutilized on bench for a long time. In the past, when things were rosy, and any company could have a bench which for a longer duration, there was not much pressure on margins and profitability. But as things have tightened up, there is uncertainty in the market, and every company has to exercise financial prudence. Then there is an increased scrutiny on who are the people on bench, how long can they stay, because if they are redeployable or trainable, then it's okay to train them and redeploy. But if they've overstayed a long duration on bench and show no signs of being equally eager to learn and pick up a new skill or pick up a new project, then companies are forced to take action.
Very beautifully, you have described what is the bench policy, what is the purpose behind the bench policy. So, in a simple way, if I try to, take some pointers. So the purpose is to upskill yourself and get ready for the new project. So that is the main purpose of the bench policy. I have seen these days the bench policy is also being misused by the employees. So that's why the companies are also getting tightened these policies.
Well, there could be a lot of reasons why people are not very flexible nowadays. So they would rather, if there are given a choice, they would rather pick up a particular project which is more aligned to a skill that they were used to using long ago. If they are aligned to a particular domain, then they tend to wait for a domain that they have worked on and want to specialize in. But the company may not be so flexible because they have a pressing need, they have a particular project in mind, and the employee chooses to say no to a particular set of projects. There could also be the aspect of location, where larger companies want people to relocate for a particular project and be flexible about location. Or in today's hybrid world, there could be some requirement to be present either in a particular office or in a client location. So when employees are choosy about which project they accept, then they get to lose out on some projects and they continue to have a longer than expected duration on bench. And even when an employee is on bench, they are requiring a salary. And so while they are not billed, the company has to still bear the salary and related costs for an employee. So somewhere along the way, if it's not deliberate misuse, but a certain degree of inflexibility in picking up available projects, that's when the companies also realize that they have to take action and they have to document some particular defined end date by when the person needs to accept any available project or choose to move out of the organization.
And now after the some changes in the bench policy of TCS, I think other companies, maybe the Cognizant, maybe Capgemini, these companies are also, I think with the Cognizant that is also around 35 days somewhere, maybe with other companies maybe around 45 days, 90 days, this could be. So how do you see this change with the TCS when you look at the new policy of TCS?
Maybe some other companies in the similar sector, software services, large players, may adopt similar methods of defining it. But I'm sure each company has its own policy about how long they will tolerate a person not being employed or employable. Perhaps just like the return to work policies, when one large player adopts something, it becomes acceptable to similarly enforce similar kind of policies. And there could be others following suit and defining a particular duration. But the tendency to tighten the number of days on bench has already been there, and this might only accelerate the same set of policies.
There be some IT unions that are also raising the issue that it is not employee friendly now. They are tightening up and they are raising the issue. How do you see this kind of voices?
I think both sides have a point of view, but in the longer term, if any company has an inflated bench which is not sustainable, then the entire organization would sink. So, in a pragmatic way, even the IT unions need to understand why is this being tightened. So, if they were to understand and if they were to speak up for a few cases of unfair dismissal, that might be better use of their time. Um, Eventually, people have to realize the reality in an IT services company will be that you have to be employed or employable. And if you are spending too much time on bench, you could rather use that time to upskill and get redeployed into another available project rather than contesting a decision and raising some amount of protest saying it's unfair. But this was long written in as an upcoming trend, and it would happen if not today, few weeks down the line.
So now, if we look at the entire case and if you look at the transformation in last couple of years about the bench policy, so how do you see the transformation in bench policies with the IT companies?
I guess it's only the articulation which has changed, but the whole aspect of employability has been constant. If you are in the IT industry, you are working on some technology, it changes very frequent and maybe the pace of change has increased. So no longer can anyone in the IT industry relax and say, I have a set of skills and they will last me for 25 years. Right now, it will be more prudent to say, this is the current technology. Am I relevant? And if I'm not working as a hands-on technology job, then am I picking up some project management or delivery management or domain skills, which will make me still employable and useful for the company? So I think the trend will continue, and people who upskill will be always required on any project. And those who are complacent will face the consequences of these policies.
So definitely, if you look at the policy, so the purpose is to upskill yourself and get ready for the next project, next coming project, and that's why the emphasis is on 4 to 6 hours daily. Spend time for the upskilling yourself, and so this is the purpose basically. So if it is being misused, so I think any of the company will review their policy and they will try to fix the whatever the loose gaps are there. So thank you so much, Ushaji, for joining us and sharing your wonderful thoughts on bench policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Romesh.